Greetings everyone, it is I, Commander James Stephanie Sterling 48F, once again bringing you all of the rot from the industry. I am here at Pursuit Pro Wrestling, where I do my training real good. I'm definitely a real wrestler, and yeah, let's get to it. It's a little bit unpleasant at first, but it gets better. It's one of those videos that has an happy ending.
Okie dokie, ho-hum, let's sift through all the video game bollocks. This isn't fun for me, you know. I don't like having to tell you all how fucking terrible an industry that's supposed to be about fun is. I wish I had the ability to shut off vast sectors of critical thinking in my brain, like 90% of game journalists out there, but some of us can't just focus on the games to the exclusion of the human misery that went into making them. Some of us can't trick ourselves into thinking we're just celebrating the hard work of developers when we refuse to challenge the corporations making said developers' lives a living fucking hell. Anyway, let's start with Nintendo of America, shall we? Shower of bastards, shower of union-busting bastards. Nintendo stands accused of deploying union-busting techniques against its employees, and while Nintendo denies said actions, I fully believe them, based solely on the fact that Nintendo is a corporation and that's what corporations do. They hate unions. That's why corporate America spent decades indoctrinating an irrational and unexamined fear of socialism into the citizenry of the United States. Billionaires, executives, and landlords don't like it when real human beings, which they're not, possess an iota of bargaining power, because the parasitic ruling class operates on a mentality governed by sheer greed and material absolutism, unwilling to cede a single right, a single freedom, a single penny, out of terror that they may lose it all. On that fact alone, on the fact that the video game industry has a history of resisting unionization to the point where it's conned all too many developers themselves into thinking it's a bad thing, on the fact that union busting is just something companies do as a matter of course, I believe the allegations. Nintendo of America can get fucked, and it's morally justified to pirate all of their games. An anonymous Nintendo worker filed a complaint with the National Labour Relations Board alleging they were fired for supporting a labour union and daring to discuss such things as wages and terms of employment. The allegation also states Nintendo, along with its staffing agency Ashton Carter, engaged in surveillance of employees as a method of dissuading unionization efforts. Neither accusation is outlandish for literally any corporation. Like I said, it's what they do. In fact, if anything, it's downright pedestrian when compared to the efforts of, say, Amazon, which publishes creepy anti-union propaganda and was caught recently discussing options to ban workers from saying words such as union, compensation, diversity, grievance, robot, fired, injustice, and plantation. Nintendo, as is par for the course with the mainstream game industry now, is naturally accused of mistreating employees. Reports of low pay for contractors and abusive employment status struggled to gain attention against a perhaps cynically timed announcement of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, but the story stands that contracted workers have a shit time at the company. Such workers are treated as lower class than full-time employees, to the point that when one contractor hit her head and suffered a possible concussion on the way to work one morning, the company's on-site clinic wouldn't look at her. On top of that, another employee was barred from driving her to the hospital because it was against company policy, so she had to Uber her way to medical care instead. The culture is full of little things seemingly designed to remind contractors that they're not seen as real people. Things like explicitly not being invited to staff gatherings, being paid less than the minimum wage, being strung along on the promise of full-time employment that never comes, and of course, the threat of a quick and dirty dismissal for speaking out or advocating for better treatment. Or perhaps just medical treatment, considering that's apparently too much to fucking ask. Meanwhile, Sony's been embroiled in a gender discrimination lawsuit, which, while recently mostly dismissed by a federal judge, is not without a lack of testimony. In fact, Sony is currently trying to block more testimony because it's totally innocent, everybody, promise. While 10 of the 13 claims are dismissed, the full suite of allegations has not been heard, and there are 9 people currently willing to talk of discrimination at the company. Such allegations include demeaning language, unwanted advances and harassment in the workplace, a lack of respect for their own work and ideas, cashiers, and the sadly common complaint of women finding it harder to gain promotion. And once again, this is all horrifically pedestrian for the game industry. There's no reason not to believe it, because by now this is just normal. Horribly normal. This is just what happens? Speaking of discrimination, Activision Blizzard continues to be pure fucking scum. Despite the Microsoft buyout, Activision is still mired in nightmarish allegations of abuse, misconduct, and more. All the while, it's been attempting its own union-busting efforts, mostly by way of pathetic anti-union propaganda, most of which is failing. In fact, in a bit of good news, Raven Software's QA department just won the chance to hold a union election after months of attempts by the parent company to dissuade them through threats and bribery. Until May 20th, 21 Raven workers will be able to submit ballots to approve a union, something that would finally give at least some employees real bargaining power within Activision. This is amazing news. Seriously. Wonderful news! I've spoken for years about the importance of unionization in the game industry. Corporations will never, ever do something because it's the right thing to do. Whether it's better products, better safety procedures, better standards, better treatment of workers, they've had to be dragged, kicking and screaming in order to be made to do anything that doesn't involve pure naked profiteering at the expense of others. If unions were standard in the game industry, if employees weren't tightly controlled and had their financial security purely in the hands of their employers, without so much as the freedom to speak up, so much mistreatment, so much abuse, so much physical and mental harm could have been avoided over the years. With the chance to unionize one of the most bullied departments in gaming, a QA department could actually stand up for itself. And if you need any proof that unionizing is a good thing, here's some rock solid evidence. Activision doesn't like it. While we respect the NLRB process, we are disappointed that a decision that could significantly impact the future of our entire studio will be made by fewer than 10% of our employees, whined Activision's Rich George, pathetically. We believe a direct relationship with team members is the best path to achieving individual and company goals. We are reviewing legal options regarding a potential appeal. Fuck off. Fuck off and fuck you. Of course you think the best path is a direct relationship. That way you can do it behind closed doors and bully even more people, you cunt. I love the claim that it'd be bad that fewer than 10% of the workers could have decision-making power, because yeah, it'd be terrible if a minority of individuals at Activision had disproportionate power at the company, wouldn't it? Remind me, again, how much Bobby Psychotic is paid in relation to his workers. Remind me, again, how any executive gets off on pretending they don't like it when a powerful few get to control a majority of unrepresented workers. Let's face it, Activision isn't upset that less than 10% of the workers can have some say. They're terrified that the percentage might grow if this succeeds. Raven isn't the only studio with an organising QA department either. Citing poor pay and unsatisfactory COVID safety measures, the QA team working on Dragon Age 4 has stated plans to unionise itself. The final straw was a mandate forcing workers back into the office despite a pandemic still raging, and despite working from home remaining the safest, smartest choice for anybody but heartless capitalist monsters. It's already being reported that management might be retaliating against these efforts with the usual bullying tactics in play. Sudden complaints about performance and stripping of responsibilities have been reported in the wake of these unionization plans, as company leadership seeks to dissuade what they fear most, a workforce that doesn't have to just shut up and take it. And that is what leadership across the entire game industry fears. When you look at everything we've discussed on this show for all this time, overworking and underpaying employees, the twisted notion of crunch culture, rampant discrimination, bullying, harassment, sex abuse, all of it happens because of a severely imbalanced power dynamic between the executive and the working classes. The very fact that, for years, all of these stories have had to come from anonymous sources terrified of speaking out for fear of industry-wide blacklisting speaks volumes to the silencing that has allowed horrific abuses of power to flourish behind the scenes. But you can only push people so far until they push back, and that's what we're seeing not just in the game industry, but at other companies famous for hurting their employees, such as Amazon and Starbucks. For years, for decades, these corporations enjoyed a lack of consequence and overwhelming dictatorial power over hundreds, even thousands of people. Now, at fucking last, those people are sick of imbalance and are coming to reclaim some of that power for themselves. And ultimately, the companies in question have only themselves to blame.
It's all their fault, ultimately. There was only people speaking out out because there was so much abuse. And there are only people unionizing now because there was so little remorse, so little consequence. These corporations did it to themselves, and they're scared because it means they can't continue doing it. Thank God for me. Also, if you are interested in catching Commander Sterling at the next few wrestle events, you can catch them at the Anarchy Brew Co. on March 14th. The Anarchy Brew Co. on May 14th in Newcastle, and then right here, actually, on May 29th at Pursuit Pro Wrestling. That's north as well. Good. And then on June 11th, I will be at PCW at Funny Girls in Blackpool for the Pride of the Ring event. So that's all that to look forward to. Once again, thank God for me.